This plant is Euryops pectinatus viridus. And most people know this is just Euryops, but the ones you're looking at are the Viridus variety, and what distinguishes them from just straight up Euryops pectinatus is the dark green foliage. Typical Euryops has a grayer green foliage, which you probably see around, but the more popular one and the most common one that I ever see is the Viridus variety, and it's because the foliage is a darker green. It just looks nicer. So let's get into what I like about this plant. You're already seeing a close-up of the foliage here, but also this hole in the plant. So these are a woody shrub. They're not very large. They probably get between probably 3 to 6 feet wide and tall. I've actually seen these 6 feet tall. Typically people keep them around 3 feet high, and as you can see, this one here, this is probably a good 6 feet wide. It's really sprawled out, and it's known for its bright yellow flower, as you can see here. This is in a warm early spring in Northern California in an inland valley, and it is mid-March when this is taken. But the earlier shot, or the one you're about to see as well, is in the same part of this town at the same time, and when they're pruned, when they're fed, and so forth, will have a bearing on when they're going to do their bloom cycle. And that's just something to know, is that these bloom a good part of the year depending on the feeding and pruning cycle. They bloom on new growth, and so if one is to kind of cut these back, the new push of growth will be followed by a bloom cycle. But one of the things I like is that these do have a very showy bloom during winter many years, and that's something that's hard to find with other flowering plants. So in design, these are a little dicey for me. I don't use them a lot because a lot of clients don't like daisy-like flowers. Some do. And then longevity. These can look a bit rough. They're very fast growing. They'll reach maturity in 1 year to 2 years. And then, as you can see here on the left, this dead plant or dead or dying plant, that was just an age thing, and the plant was is probably about 6 to 7 years old, and half of the plant had died and part of it was still living. And that's what I would say to be leery of with these. I plant them with the idea that every 4 to 6 years we're replacing them. That said, they grow so quickly, they fill back in, and in a very short period of time, and so that can be part of your strategy. But don't look at this as a 10-year plus plant. I've never seen them look good after probably 6 to 7 years. The other thing about these is they're very drought tolerant once established. They're tolerant of seaside conditions, and the deer don't eat these. And so they can tolerate a lot of our challenging situations as designers, and those are two of the biggest ones, is deer and drought tolerance, and these have both. So that's a huge plus in this column. They're a good companion plant with Echium fastuosum near the coast. They can bloom together, so you get the yellow and the blue. Also, rosemary Tuscan blue blooms at the same time. So again, with the blue and the yellow, it's a really nice combo. And maintenance is pretty easy, although it is necessary for them to look their best. One should deadhead this to clear off the dead flowers. They die on there and they don't fall off on their own. So I would say that to look its best, prune this after this big bloom cycle, and that encourages the next one. And that's what I can tell you about Euryops pectinatus viridus. Very colorful, showy plant with a not the longest life, but for how showy it is over a long period, can be very useful in plant design. Another thing to note is these get frost damaged in the mid 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're in an area that gets much colder than that, I would not be using these. It'll certainly shorten the life. Also, in general, they like good drainage. So if you've got heavier soils, try and put them in more sloped areas.